Welcome to our nightly meditation practice. As we do each night, I will begin by paying homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Again, welcome, friends. Today I've been studying a little bit, bouncing around in my head what I want to teach tomorrow night to my Zen class. And I find it my duty, my desire, my motive to generally teach core basics of Buddhism. And I had tossed around in my mind a little bit about teaching about the concept of Buddha nature or Tathagata Garbha. But it wasn't quite where I wanted to go. Not quite as basic, although that is pretty basic in Mahayana and even more basic in Zen practice. I want to get more back to the original Buddha Dharma. So I've decided I'm going to teach on the 12 links of dependent origination. There are a few things in Buddhism that are just core, basic, foundational beliefs. The Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path, and the 12 links of dependent origination are just the very basics that everybody needs to know that follows, practices, or is even curious about Buddhism. So that's my intent tomorrow night, is to talk about the 12 links of dependent origination. And I haven't decided how much detail to go into, but tonight I want to share with you all the basic discourse from the Buddha on dependent origination. And just so you know, and you'll see this very quickly as I read this fairly short sutta, dependent origination is just the chain of events that occur in human existence that leads to our suffering and therefore to our rebirth. Because suffering is the key that leads to that cycle of samsara, meaning leading back to continuous rebirth. So that's what this dependent origination is. It's that chain of events that occurs. And so you'll see that now. And so I'm going to share with you from the Samyutta Nikaya, the 12th book of the Samyutta Nikaya, the second discourse. And let me share my screen here with you. Okay, so this is called the Vibhanga Sutta, or Analysis Sutta. So it doesn't say it's the analysis of the dependent origination and just calling it the Vibhanga Sutta, but that's what Vibhanga means in Pali, is analysis. So the Analysis Sutta, or the analysis of dependent origination, it goes like this. At Soati, Bhikkhus, I will teach you dependent origination and I will analyze it for you. Listen to that and attend closely. I will speak. Yes, Venerable Sir, those bhikkhus replied. The Blessed One said this, And what bhikkhus is dependent origination? With ignorance as condition, volitional formations come to be. With volitional formations, consciousness. Such is the origin of the mass of suffering. And those ellipses there, it's all 12, and they only listed 3 of those there. We'll get back to that. It'll list all 12 of them as we go through. And what bhikkhus is aging and death? The aging of the various beings and the various orders of beings. Their growing old, brokenness of teeth, grayness of hair, wrinkling of skin, decline of vitality, degeneration of the faculties. This is called aging. The passing away of the various beings from the various orders of beings, their perishing, breakup, disappearance, mortality, death, completion of time, the breakup of the aggregates, the laying down of the carcass. This is called death. Thus, this aging and this death are together called aging and death. And what bhikkhus is birth? The birth of the various beings comes into the various orders of beings. They're being born, descent into the womb, production, the manifestation of the aggregates, the obtaining of the sense bases. This is called birth. And what bhikkhus is existence? There are the 3 kinds of existence: sense sphere existence, form sphere existence, formless sphere existence. This is called existence. And what bhikkhus is clinging? There are these 4 kinds of clinging: clinging to sensual pleasures, clinging to views, clinging to rules and vows, clinging to a doctrine of self. This is called clinging. And what bhikkhus is craving? There are these 6 classes of craving: craving for forms, craving for sounds, craving for odors, craving for taste, craving for tactile objects, craving for mental phenomenon. This is called craving. And what bhikkhus is feeling? There are these 6 classes of feeling: feeling born of eye contact, feeling born of ear contact, feeling born of nose contact, feeling born of tongue contact, feeling born of body contact, feeling born of mind contact. This is called feeling. Bhikkhus is contact. There are these 6 classes of contact: eye contact, ear contact, nose contact, tongue contact, body contact, mind contact. This is called contact. And what bhikkhus are the 6 sense bases? The eye base, the ear base, the nose base, the tongue base, the body base, the mind base. These are called the 6 bases, the 6 sense bases. And what bhikkhus is name and form? Feeling, perception, volition, contact, attention. This is called name. The 4 great elements and the form derived from the 4 great elements. This is called form. Thus the name and this form, thus this name and this form are together called name and form. And what bhikkhus is consciousness? There are these 6 classes of consciousness: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind consciousness. This is called consciousness. And what bhikkhus are the volitional formations? These are the 3 kinds of volitional formations: the bodily volitional formation, the verbal volitional formation, the mental volitional formation. These are called volitional formations. And what bhikkhus is ignorance? Not knowing suffering, not knowing the origin of suffering, not knowing the cessation of suffering, not knowing the way leading to the cessation of suffering. This is called ignorance. This bhikkhus, with ignorance as condition, volitional formations come to be. With volitional formations as condition, consciousness. Such is the origin of this whole mass of suffering. But with the remainderless fading away and cessation of ignorance comes the cessation of volitional formation. With the cessation of volitional formations, the cessation of consciousness. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. So now if I could explain just a little bit here. Because of the way that these suttas were passed down and then eventually written down, when Bhikkhu Bodhi was translating them here, when it was just the exact same thing time after time after time, and as you'll see in the Samyutta Nikaya, those things are repeated several times. He just put ellipses just to show that it's the same pattern. So as we went through the 12 links, here. That's what he's repeating. So the first link here is going backwards. So the Buddha explained it kind of in reverse order. But what we have here, the first link is ignorance. The second link is volitional formations, sometimes called karmic intent. It's that first piece of karma when you first decide to do something, good or bad or indifferent. And then consciousness. And then name and form, nama rupa, the 6 sense bases, contact, feeling, craving, clinging, existence, birth, and death and old age, aging and death. Those are the 12 links of dependent origination. So if you see, this is the one where he's analyzed. This is the one where the Buddha's analyzing it. This whole 12th book is about dependent origination, and the Buddha describing it in many ways. So if we go back to the first one here, dependent origination, then he lists them all separately. And Bhikkhu Bodhi doesn't put ellipses here because this is the first time that these things are addressed. And so you'll see this one, he just lists them off. And yeah, so you see here, this one is called the Paticca Samuppada Sutta, which is just meaning dependent origination sutta. There in English, 12.1. And so here, I'll just read this 2 paragraphs, because this is the important part of dependent origination. And what bhikkhus is dependent origination? With ignorance as a condition, volitional formations come to be. With volitional formations as condition, consciousness. With consciousness as condition, name and form. With name and form as condition, the 6 sense bases. With the 6 sense bases as condition, contact. With contact as condition, feeling. With feeling as condition, craving. With craving as condition, clinging. With clinging as condition, existence. With existence as condition, birth. With birth as condition, aging and death. Sorrow, lamentation, pain, displeasure, and despair come to be. Such is the origin of this whole mass of suffering. This, bhikkhus, is called dependent origination. Now he talks about how to be freed of suffering. So this second paragraph is also equally important in the concept of the 12 link origination, because in the 12 links of dependent origination, if you can break the links, you can break the cycle of rebirth and break the cycle of samsara. So here the Buddha teaches, but with the remainderless fading away and cessation of ignorance comes cessation of volitional formations. With the cessation of volitional formations, the cessation of consciousness. With the cessation of consciousness, the cessation of name and form. With the cessation of name and form, the cessation of the 6 sense bases. With the cessation of the 6 sense bases, cessation of contact. With the cessation of contact, cessation of feeling. With the cessation of feeling, cessation of craving. With the cessation of craving, cessation of clinging. With the cessation of clinging, cessation of existence. With the cessation of existence, cessation of birth. And with the cessation of birth, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, displeasure, and despair. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. So that's the Buddha's teaching for the elimination of suffering. Now he gave us the path in the Noble Eightfold Path that teaches us how to accomplish these cessations, or this breaking of the chain of dependent origination. So that is the root of what I want to teach tomorrow to my Zen class, because it is such an important core foundational aspect of Buddhism. And all schools of thought in Buddhism, all sects, all vehicles, if you would, all believe and practice or believe in and affirm the Buddhist teachings on the cessation of suffering through understanding the 12 link 12 Links of Dependent Origination. So that's what I've decided to talk about tomorrow. And I'll begin it much the same as I did now. We have the Four Noble Truths, and we have the Noble Eightfold Path, and then we have the 12 Links of Dependent Origination. And those are the core, basic, foundational teachings of the Buddha. There goes into more when he teaches about meditation and attaining perfections and those things. And a lot of things are based off of numbers and memorization through number games, mind memory tricks to help you memorize things. Anyway, so I hope that is an introduction to you guys tonight who may or may not know about what the 12 Links of Dependent Origination are. And as I've been studying this to try to put it into good words that are explanatory at a very basic level, I've been reading some writings by Joseph Goldstein, who I really like. He's excellent. Maybe he goes by Goldstein, probably in America. Yeah, so he's had some good teachings on that. He wrote a book that I really like called One Dharma, and I really respect him as a teacher. That he practices Buddhism like I practice Buddhism, which is what are those basic, core, most important elements of Buddhism? Follow those, learn those. Those are the ones that will lead us to happiness and will lead us to the cessation of suffering. So, so I really like his book, One Dharma, and it's definitely my style of Buddhism. So with that having been said, I decided tonight that we will listen to one more of the chantings from this Korean monk from the Kwan school. And this one is an homage to the Triple Jewels, or in Buddhism, the Triple Jewels, or the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So that's what we call those three together, the Buddha being the Buddha himself, the Dharma being the teachings of the Buddha, and the Sangha being the assembly of believers. Homage to the three jewels. So that's what we're going to listen to now. I invite you to enjoy this as a form of meditation and just listen to him. I think he is he does an excellent job of chanting, and it's certainly something that I think everyone can enjoy. So this is the homage to the three jewels. And you see it here, there, on the insight timer.
Jinno 지심규명내 삼계도사 사생자부 시아본사 서가리불 지심규명내 시방삼세 제망차례 상주일체 불타야중 지심규명내 시방삼세 제망차례 상주일체 닮아야주 지심규명내 대지문수 사리보살 대행보현보살 대비관세음보살 대원본존 지장보살 마살 지심규명내 영산당시 수불부초 10대 제자 시북성 오백성 독수성 내지 1200 제대하란 우량 자비성중 지심규명내 서건동진 그바해동 역대전등 제대조사 천하종사 일체미진소 제대선지시 지심규명내 시방삼세 제망차례 상주일체 승가야주 유원
I hope you thought that was as beautiful as I did. I really enjoy listening to him, and it's so meditative. With that, we will do a little silent meditation, and then we will close with the reading of the bodhicitta prayer. So we'll do 15 minutes of silent meditation tonight. After that, it should be good to get us going for a nice, gentle rest tonight, right? Okay, so The Bodhicitta Prayer. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening, for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. Thank you for joining me tonight. I should be here tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be our Zen practice, which runs from 8:30 to 9:30 my time, Eastern Standard Time, or 6:30 Pacific Time right now. So 6:30 to 7:30. So I should be here after that, but I'll hopefully let you know how the discussion on dependent origination goes. Okay, have a good evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.